Yo, what's up? Y'all there? What's going on? What's going on? I gotta go get my hot chocolate. I gotta go get my hot chocolate. Stay right here. Hold up, y'all. Stay right there. I gotta go get my hot chocolate. Stay right there. Stay right there. All right, hold up, y'all. Hold up. Hold up, hold up. Hold up, y'all. Foundational Black Americans, what's up? Look at my hot chocolate. Look at the steam. Look at the steam off my hot chocolate. So I gotta pour it in my glass. This is a cold glass. But I'm gonna pour it in there anyway. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that hot chocolate. Look at that steam. Look at that steam. Look at that hot chocolate. Look at the hot chocolate. I got a warm beverage. This is a warm beverage. Y'all, what's up? I'm gonna see if I can call my nigga Black. I'm gonna see if I can call Black, and we're gonna talk about Puffy. His PSI is due tomorrow. So what we're gonna find out tomorrow is what exactly the prosecution is asking for, and we're gonna see. They're gonna file it tomorrow. So we will know the range of what the prosecution is asking for. Foundational Black Americans, what's up, baby? All power to you. You understand? I need everybody to share this video. Look at my hot chocolate. Man. Why is that sticky like that? Why is that sticky like that, y'all? I don't know why that's sticky like that. Psalm 91, what's up? What's up with y'all, man? Let me see if I get my nigga Black on the phone. Black may be busy, man. He'll call me back though. He probably busy. Yeah, he probably called me back. What's going on with everybody, man? Don't forget, next Thursday in Manhattan, Puffy, I don't know what's that sticking to my fingers on this glass. There's a hearing next Thursday at 11 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna get to see what the deal be. We're gonna get to see what the deal be. Andrew Gutierrez, what's up, man? Foundation of Black Americans, where you from, man? Psalm 91, God bless. What's up with the people, man? I like this refined style you got, Sean Morad. What up? Baba Yev. Diddy Love, what up? Free Puff, man. Free Puff all day. Free Puff. Free Diddy, Keyboard Warrior, what up? Pink Flamingo. Peace. Call my nigga Black and see if Black pick up. Y'all make sure y'all go on my website and get my book, man. The podcast was sold.bigcartel.com. Tisa's day is coming, man. Her day is definitely on the horizon. Mark my words. Mark my words. I feel like going to the Mets game, man, really. I really feel like going to the Mets game. I had a good day today. Everybody have a good day? G Money. Come on, man. You already know. There go my nigga Black. It's my nigga Black. Let me see if he got time. Yo, Black, what up?
What's going on, bro?
You busy?
I was. I'm gonna take a break now, cause the chainsaw is whooping my ass.
All right, well, listen, I wanted to ask you some questions, man, on the YouTube tip again. I'm on my live.
Okay. What's up?
So tomorrow, the PSI is due and will be filed by the probation department in the Southern District of New York.
Okay.
Now, from what I'm reading from the letters from Puffy's lawyers, there's been a draft copy going back and forward between them, you know, objecting and arguing about the enhancements or whatever the case may be, the levels and all that. Now, what's the deal with that when it gets filed? What's going? You know anything about that?
Well, I mean, they can hash out what they agree on, right? And they won't have to argue about whatever they've agreed on in court. And then the government, which is the probation in this instance, they can end up filing. They're gonna end up filing the report that they want to file. You know what I'm saying?
Right, which is due tomorrow.
You know, so a lot of times they try to get everything that they can agree on. Okay, you right about this, you right about that, and I agree with this, that, and then they won't have to argue about those points in court. But the probation folks, they gonna file what they gonna file. You know, the defense doesn't have to agree with it, and then the defense will get to give their arguments about anything that they disagree with.
Now, Black, is this usually done in writing or is this usually done in court in a hearing?
What do you mean, the back and forth?
Yeah.
The back and forth is normally done in court for most people. This is a celebrity case and all of that. My feeling is everybody would like to have their ducks in a row, because they know a lot of eyes going to be on them. But most of the time, the back and forth happens in court. You know.
Now, could that be why the judge scheduled the hearing next Thursday when the sentencing is 8 days after that?
It could possibly be. You know, just to see how close everybody is to a consensus. You know. So if everything is everything, you know, he won't have to ask them to do any more research and do any more arguments and provide case law on their various points.
Right. Now,
most of the time, man, these sentencing hearings are very, very simple. You know, the criminal history category interpretation is really simple. You know, especially for someone that doesn't have any criminal history.
like Puff.
Yeah, I've seen it where people have criminal history, and then it was like, okay, he committed this crime while he was still on probation for that crime, so therefore he's eligible for an additional point, you know.
Right.
But you know, such is not the case here. I mean, the criminal history score is what it is. They might be
Arguing over the levels.
trying to get its offense level jacked up a little bit with some you know, aggravating factors.
Now the defense is going to be obviously arguing against that and fighting against whatever they saying, right? Because the probation and the prosecution are one and the same, right?
Well, really they're not supposed to be, but functionally they are. The probation department is supposed to give their independent assessment of the defendant, his not only his criminal history, but his history in general, his work history, his family history, his community ties. All of that is supposed to factor into
Charitable donations and all that, philanthropy.
Well, I won't go that far. You could bring in philanthropy under the guise of community ties. Okay, they like to see that someone is tied to their community. You know, and that could be a thing that gives evidence to that. Yeah, he has strong community ties. He's been given to this organization. He's been working with this organization, and that could be.
He built charter schools in the Bronx, built charter schools in Harlem.
Yeah, that could be mitigating factors to display strong community ties. You know, aggravating factors could be, I saw you whoop that bitch ass at that hotel. You know, and that could be an aggravating factor that although he was not convicted of that offense, he wasn't even charged with that offense, the judge can't unsee it, and the prosecution can legally bring it in for review under 404B, evidence of prior bad acts. You see what I'm saying? So it could be something like that they will try to use as an aggravating factor and possibly raise that offense level up. You know?
So you said a Rule 404B, evidence of past behavior?
Evidence of prior bad acts is what they call it.
Rule 404B.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Black, last year, November, Amendment 826 was passed, and Amendment 826 doesn't allow relevant conduct to include charges you were acquitted for. So none of the stuff that he was, he beat the racketeering conspiracy, he beat the SEX trafficking, so they
Right.
can't enhance his level.
They can't use that as a considering factor in enhancing his level. They can't use that in the calculation because you were acquitted of that.
Right.
But once again, if there's clear evidence of prior bad acts, the judge can the judge is human. He can't unsee that shit no more than anybody else can unsee it. And he might say, look, this is an aggravating factor in this case. And although he wasn't convicted of this, I need to take this into consideration. That's possible. Whether it's going to happen again, I don't know.
Right. Now, Black, his lawyer filed for, you familiar with Rule 29 and Rule 33?
Not offhand, I'm not.
All right, so Rule 29 is a motion for acquittal, right?
Okay. What is that called?
And then a Rule 33 is a motion for a new trial because of spillover misjoinder. And what they're saying is that a lot of the testimony and a lot of the evidence that was presented at the trial for the racketeering conspiracy and the SEX trafficking, the bribery, the arson, the kidnapping, the fraud, the force, the coercion, would not have been presented or admissible if he was tried, if the Mann Act charges were tried by themselves. So what they're saying is that the jury could have been poisoned or tainted from hearing all this other evidence and just said, well, we're not going to convict them on the racketeering conspiracy, we're not going to convict them on the trafficking, but we're going to get them on the Mann Act joint.
Well, that seems to be a reach to me. You can throw everything you can against the wall and see what sticks, but that would seem to be a reach. Seems like that Rule 29 is something akin to what they call a directed verdict, and I'm sure they asked for a directed verdict before the jury came in. Everybody's going to ask for one, and that happens when the prosecution is clear that they haven't met the burden of proof, and everybody can see that, and you ask the judge for a directed verdict. Hey, Your Honor, get rid of this case. This is bullshit. Yeah, we all see it and we all know it. And 95% of the time, the judge is going to deny you on the directed verdict and send it on to the jury, which happened in this case. So they've been down that path once before, because I'm sure they asked for it. Everybody asked for one before the jury gets that case, and the judge didn't see fit to do it then. I don't know why he would see fit to do it now, but like I say, the job of the defense is to throw everything they got up against the wall and see what can stick.
Yeah. Because he still hasn't, the judge still hasn't addressed the Rule 29 or the Rule 33, and I thought the hearing that he was going to do next Thursday was going to address that, where he very well may. But you're saying, so let me ask you this: if his attorney never asked for the Rule 29 and never asked for the Rule 33, there would have been a hearing before the sentencing to go over this PSI thing?
No. If they ask for one, right after the prosecution rests their case and the defense at that point will ask for a directed verdict. They will ask the judge to get rid of this case.
Right.
Okay, and I have seen one. It was a guy here that played professional football, and he had given, I think it was $50,000 or $60,000 to a friend of his who was involved in drug trafficking, and he was about to give him some more money or something like that, and the feds jumped down on him and seized the money, right, and made him part of a drug conspiracy.
Right.
So when it went to trial, the only evidence that the prosecutor could come up with on this guy was the fact that he had $60,000-$70,000 in his Porsche, and so his attorney, the other defendants were convicted. His attorney asked for a directed verdict, and the judge gave it to him. Hey, well, all y'all presented was the fact that this man had $60,000-$70,000 in his Porsche, and the man is a professional athlete. And we see clearly where he got that money out of his bank account. So while it might not be prudent to be riding around with such large sums of money, it's definitely not illegal, and the judge threw it out. You know?
Right.
That's the only time I can remember somebody being successful with a directed verdict. I'm positive that there are others, and but it's rare that that's going to happen. But it's guaranteed that the defense is going to ask for it to happen.
Yeah, well, his attorney she did that like in week 5, I think. She asked for a couple of mistrials, and then she asked for a Rule 29 acquittal, and then they've asked for a Rule 33 new trial. But let me ask you this, man. So, do you think he's gonna address the Rule 33 or the Rule 29 next Thursday?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because he hasn't addressed it on paper yet with any type of order. He ain't said yay or nay.
Mm-hmm. My instinct telling me if he does address it, it's gonna be get the fuck out of here. You know, this ain't. He's gonna deny that motion. And
so then why have a hearing 8 days before sentencing?
I don't know, Sean. I don't know why they would have a hearing. Like I say, they might just. It's a high-profile case. It might be akin to like a status hearing. Let me make sure everybody's on the same page. Everybody got their ducks in a row. What's been agreed to in this PSI? What's in question in this PSI? Might be that kind of thing. But
I think he's gonna cut him loose, man.
Man,
Cause look, yesterday marked a year, right? That made a year, and did you see what happened in New York with the 3 cops? The one cop was involved he was running a prostitution ring.
No, I did.
Yeah, a Long Island cop was running a prostitution ring with another guy and his girlfriend, and they were making the girls. It was 2 brothels. They were making the girls pay $6,000 to $12,000 a month. He was involved. He was actively involved. He was charged and pled guilty to a Class D felony, running a prostitution ring. Along with, he was in his patrol car one day on patrol, and it came across the radio, that somebody was sticking up the brothel, the brothel that he owned, that
And
he ran.
he had it out there, huh?
he yo, he dipped in the patrol car, lights blaring, 90 miles an hour, out of his district into a whole nother district to see what was going on, which sparked the whole joint.
Investigation.
Right.
Oh, that's crazy. But he had to check the trap, man. She did. The trap done been threatened, man. I gotta check the trap, man. If he charges them bras like that, oh man.
So look, yeah, 6,000 to 7,000 a month, right? So he pleads guilty. He gets sentenced to 12 months on the prostitution charge and 12 months on the misconduct, official misconduct, which is taking his police car out of zone. And then he had another indictment where he it was really kidnapping, held a girl that he met on a dating app, held her against her will in his car, and he got 30 days for that.
Okay, this sounds like a state case though, right?
It's a state of New York case.
Yeah, so while they can refer to that case, it would be more powerful if it were a federal case.
Right.
I mean, they will go and look at state cases. You can bring in state cases
to the attention of the judge.
Yeah, you can bring in that for a precedent, but it's a lot more powerful when it's a federal case because you comparing apples to apples, you know.
Right.
But I hope the brother does. He is able to come home, and he might be able to come home because the judge might hit him with the low end of the guideline, 15 months, and that's it. He done did that, you know.
Right. Okay, that's what I want to talk about. So yesterday marked a year, so he gets 54 days good time, right?
That's correct.
Now, let's just say he was to get 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a year in, plus 54 days good time, which will just round off to 2 months.
Yeah.
So he'd be eligible for halfway house or home confinement tomorrow on sentencing day.
Immediately, he would be, and the judge could even fashion that kind of sentence, you know, where he said that okay, I'm gonna sentence you to, 20 months. The first year has been served already, and the remainder of your sentence can be completed on house arrest. You know, the judge can do that directly himself, or he could just sentence him to the 20 months, 18 months, 15 months, whatever he decides, and then let the BOP deal with it, you know?
Right.
And if he gets somewhere and he got 20 months, well, at his first team, they gonna be getting this halfway house shit together, you know?
What's team, Black, for the people?
Well, team is you meet with the counselor
After you're incarcerated.
After you're incarcerated, you're at a facility. You meet with the counselor, the case manager, and the unit manager, and they go over your situation. Okay. They have to review you. If I'm not mistaken, it's every 6 months. And it depends on how much time you have remaining.
Right.
I think if you are very close, it might be every 3 months. But at a certain point, they got to call you in and review, okay, They give programming recommendations. Um, they give halfway house, home confinement recommendations. That they will fill out the paperwork and say, hey, we're going to recommend 60 days, 90 days, 180 days worth of halfway house. We're going to send this off to the region. This is going to be our recommendation. They'll send it back to us with the stamp of approval or a denial and some more suggestions. So
Right.
when he, he's going to have to have his first team
Immediately.
probably within the first month of his being at a facility, and then depending on how long, I don't know how long the wait is now to get to a facility. So he would get sentenced and he would go back to
MDC Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. He would go back to that facility and he'd wait for transit. And that's probably going to be a 3 or 4 week wait. In his case, him being a celebrity and whatnot, they might want to get him out of there as soon as they can.
Right.
The people at their facilities in Brooklyn, they probably have had to make certain allowances
For him.
In terms of his safety and security and whatnot.
Attorney meetings and shit like that.
All that stuff, and I'm sure they tired of it. So it might be like, hey man, y'all come get this motherfucker as soon as you can.
Now, Black. Let me ask you: Is he in like a protective custody now?
I don't know. I don't know if he is or not.
If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, I probably would say he
Would not?
He would not be in protective custody. That would be my guess.
Do you think if he gets 3 or 4 years, you think he gets sentenced to like a high level maximum security?
Absolutely not. If he got 3 years, I think he touched down at a low-level facility initially because it's a sex crime. Okay. Outside of that, he would be eligible for a camp immediately. Now, if he's in a situation where he gets 18 months. So they would look up and, oh, okay, this guy only has 4 more months to serve. They might send him straight to a camp.
Right.
Even with the sex charge involved, because although it was a sex charge, it's not really predatory.
Right.
He's not the common tree jumper that you're gonna find in those places,
Right.
So
what's a common tree jumper, Black?
One of them guys that's jumping out of the bushes and grabbing women, and everybody, if it's common knowledge that it's children involved, they kind of play like a pariah, and any little transgression, you got a bunch of motherfuckers just waiting. And I wish this motherfucker would say something, do something, whatever. I'm gonna get in his ass, but I have seen guys with those type of cases have no problem, man. And I've seen it just the opposite, those type of guys that have those cases, I've seen them violently assaulted as well.
Right. Right.
But so it's no guarantee. And then a lot of times people don't know. I stayed right next door to a guy one time. He was from the military, and you know the military sentences and the whole process is hella different from
A civilian.
just the civilian courts. They go to a military court, the whole makeup, and the process is just totally different for them. They still get parole, okay? And this guy, his story was he got in trouble when he was based over in Germany and did some things, and you know, and it wasn't found out till years later that this guy was a pedophile who actually sexually assaulted his own daughter. But he was such a good soldier that the Army wanted to give him a break. So they put him in a mental health facility until he escaped from there using his training and showed up at his ex-wife's house with the intention on killing her. At that point, they were basically like, man, we cannot protect this guy any longer, you know, and they turned him on over to the BOP. But
What was his story when he hit the compound?
well, when I was there, he had been there for years already, you know.
Okay. And nobody knew the real story?
Nobody initially knew the real story. It was one guy who found out, who did a bunch of research and found out about his situation. But the guy was such a pervert already, right?
In the joint?
You know, in the joint, man. You know, he was just totally perverted, man.
Like what? Like doing what, Black?
He loved young white boys, and he would manipulate them. He was part of the Dungeons and Dragons crew. I don't know what it is about that game, but all sex offenders love it. I ain't figured it out, but you would see him huddled up playing that game.
Right.
You know, and like I say, he would manipulate those young white boys. He would offer himself up for sexual favors to others. You know, he pitching and catching, man. The dude was just totally perverted.
Right.
You know, so most guys didn't mess with him just on their tip, you know?
Right.
And this dude here, he's a pervert.
Right. So somebody did some research on him, found out, then what happened to him?
Nothing. And I remember telling them, it's ironic because, like I said, the military is totally different. So this guy, he did like 18, 19 years, but he did so much of his time that he didn't have any parole or anything like that, right?
Right.
He had no parole. He had no supervised release, and his case was before they had the the sex offender registry.
Right.
So he didn't have to register either.
Right.
You know, I told that motherfucker, I said, man, when you leave, I'm telling all my family, man, he not even where I'm from. I said, man, I'm telling my whole family to be on the lookout for your perverted ass. 'cause it was just something that you would find hard to believe this guy's behavior, man.
Right.
But that's what he was on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But your man, he should be all right, and he should thank the judge for not letting him out. You know?
so he should thank the judge for not giving him bail?
Yeah, man, because he got an opportunity to put this behind him sooner than later. You know, if you would have got bail, you out there, and you're fighting your case, so you're not totally free.
Right.
And you're more comfortable. You know, you're eating what you want. You're sleeping in your own bed and whatnot. You're more comfortable.
But that should still be on your mind, though, Black.
Yeah. You still bogged down with this damn
This case.
pending case. You know. So the way things are situated now, it's like, okay, it's a possibility that he get 15, 16 months, and it's time for him to go home.
Right, and put this behind him and move on with his life.
And move on with his life, you know?
Yeah.
So the way it turned out, you know, which a lot of people don't necessarily approve of his actions, approve of how he was living and his lifestyle and whatnot, but you know, all the rumors and speculation and expectations of what was going to be revealed, none of that shit revealed.
None of it.
You know, and not only wasn't it revealed, it wasn't even brought up at all in any kind of way. You know, it wasn't even, a lot of that stuff wasn't even introduced to the record.
Exactly.
You know, because you had all these lawsuits going down with people, with guys alleging this drugging everybody,
right?
And these wild orgies were going on as a result of him drugging everybody
with minors.
And they were taking pictures and video, and then they were using this video to blackmail people and getting them to sign contracts that they otherwise wouldn't sign. You know, all this was being spewed
for the last 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, and then when it's time to put up or shut up, you know, okay, introduce all this to a jury. None of this bullshit gets introduced to the jury. And we come to find out, the dude just like freaky sex with his bra. You know?
Right.
And it's like, okay, maybe that ain't my thing, maybe it ain't your thing, but it's not criminal.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
But now Black, now some people argue and saying, and I want to definitely get your opinion on this, that somehow the feds were told not to introduce this evidence to protect other high-powered celebrities and politicians, and this is why they didn't introduce. And I tell them, I said, man, that's bullshit, because if the feds got it, they would have used it to really bust Puff head to the white meat. That's my opinion. What you think?
I agree with you. Hold on for 1 second, Sean.
All right. We live, y'all. Appreciate y'all coming through. Appreciate y'all coming through. What y'all up to? Let me see if anybody got any questions. Malcolm Baldwin. Teo A, I see you. Kate Mack, what up, Kate? Landa A. You already know the answers on paper on the 22nd and 29th. Sonda Adalia, what up? Margie Harris. What's up, y'all? Make sure you get his.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Black.
All right.
So I was asking you, people saying, oh, they didn't present it because it was some high power people. And I said, man, look, this was a RICO.
You know what? These so-called high-powered people that they were black. The government ain't never tried to protect the black motherfucker from nothing. When does that happen? You know, especially one that's not doing a damn thing for them. You know, this man took them to trial, made them prove their case in a court of law, offered no kind of what am I trying to say? He didn't snitch. He offered them no kind of assistance whatsoever.
Took him to trial.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He said, prove your case. You know, and they failed to prove their case in total, but somehow they're trying to protect somebody. Who are they trying to protect? You know, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because the people that you talking about, the people that he really had access to, they were a few entertainers, man. You know,
right.
They were entertainers and possibly a few music executives, right?
Right.
And these people ain't got no juice like that, you know. It ain't like, you know, there were high-powered political figures, billionaires that would face hardship if this news got out. No, you know, a few more rappers. You know, they black. A few singers.
Well, they were saying it was some politicians that may have been at these parties and big time execs, white execs, but I don't know, man. You know, they said so, like you said, man. They said so much stuff the last 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, man, that they had me believing it, man. And like I say, when I went to court, I went there, Black, specifically to hear this stuff, man, and it never happened. It never came out, man. Like you say, other than that, this dude, like, you know, the kind of activity, intercourse with his lady that he liked, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, like I said, it ain't my thing, but it wasn't no RICO.
No, man. And prosecutors are given these tools, and then they try to use the tools for tasks that they weren't for. You know, I mean, you can beat a nail in with a wrench sometimes, but that's not what a wrench is for. And it doesn't work well as a hammer, you know?
Right.
So, and they give the prosecution these tools, RICO and whatnot, to take down sophisticated criminal organizations that are led by really seasoned men, you know, guys in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and stuff like that know what they're doing. We needed special tools to take down that kind of organization. You know, now you're seeing those tools used for whatever. You seeing those tools used for shit like a group of rappers that come up with a name, you know, for their little company or organization.
Right.
Now it's a game. Okay. You use it for a group of gangbangers. You don't need that tool for them. You know, they give you individual cases on them every day. Why do you need such a tool? You know, it was clear why you needed the tool when you were dealing with sophisticated criminal organizations like the mafia. Okay, well, these were seasoned men who knew what they were doing and who had built structures and buffers, to keep the head out of the way.
Right.
So okay, we need special tools because we're never going to catch John Gotti stealing a car, robbing somebody, selling some dope. That's never going to happen, but we know he's involved in all these types of activity. So we need some kind of special tool to bring him down. And, eventually the Congress gave him the tool. The laws were passed.
The RICO.
Yeah. And okay, now we got this tool starting in the early 80s. And, with that tool, they were able to decimate that organization. Okay, now it's like, okay, what else can we do with this tool? All right, these little niggas that's running around here gangbang causing a lot of problems. We can use this tool on them. We can use this tool on a music executive that we don't like because we don't really like his sex life, and we just think he's getting away with too much shit. We can use that tool on him, but that's not what the tool was given to you for. That's not the purpose of the tool. So, this is one of the first cases where it's like, come on now, At one point, they were even contemplating using that tool on the Catholic Church. With all of the sexual assaults by the various priests,
right,
that were being protected by, the higher ups in the Catholic Church.
right.
At one point they were considering a RICO against the Catholic Church, but they never went forward with it, And probably the amount of money and influence that the church has,
right,
I'm sure has something to do with it. And
right.
that, and it's so obvious that, hey man, this ain't what the tool is for. So
yeah. Yo, Black, what you think the sentence gonna come down at?
Man, I think that I think he's gonna get the lower end of his range, toward the lower end of his final range, whatever that is, because I really think that the government is not going to be able to find similar cases,
right,
where they can say, hey, this guy did that, and we sentence him to 10 years, whatever, There's not going to be a similar case, and the defense is going to argue the same thing, hey.
What's up, Sylvia?
Most of the time with these types of cases where the defendant was not profiting from the sexual exploitation, where he was just a participant, where he was just buying a sexual experience, in those types of cases, they don't normally get time.
Right.
So the judge might give him a little, okay, I see y'all went through all this trouble, so I gotta get a nigga something, but I ain't gonna go overboard.
What could be some enhancements, Black, that he could enhance Puff with?
The only thing I could think of is
the violence.
Violence. That's the only thing I can think of. that they will be that the judge may take in consideration. You know, I did see some violence in this case. Saw you beat your bitch ass. I heard testimony that you set somebody's car on fire. I heard testimony.
Yeah, but that was never proven, though, Black. That got threw out. That's that Amendment 826.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. But like I say, the judge is human.
He can't unhear what he heard.
He can't unhear what he heard. Now, and so taking that in consideration, and what I'm talking about mostly is guideline range sentence. You know, he would be hard pressed to go outside of the guideline for something like that. You know, but he could use that and say, hey, instead of the low end, I'm going to the high end.
Now, look, Black. At the day when Puff was acquitted, his attorneys, Puffy's attorneys, asked for bail that day to let him go home, and the prosecution, the prosecution stood up and asked the judge to deny the bail because of the violence.
Yeah.
And the judge specifically said, all right, cool, I'm gonna deny the bail today because of the violence, but don't even think about raising the violence issue when it comes to sentencing, because it will not be considered.
Well, if he's already put that on the record, then it probably won't be considered. You know, you got to take him back at his word at this point that it probably won't be considered. But not 100% sure of it, but I would say it probably won't be considered if he's already put that in the record.
He did. That's in the record.
Okay. But at the same time, like I say, he has that discretion, bottom of the guideline, middle of the guideline, top of the guideline, you know, that he doesn't really have to articulate why he's doing that, you know, why he's sentencing the man to the high side of his guideline. And I think the high side of his guideline is probably going to be about 2 years.
Right. Now, if he were to go outside of the guideline range, then he has to specify and articulate why.
Yeah, he has to give specific, concrete reasons. This is why I'm going outside the guideline.
Right.
I do have some discretion. They changed that in 2004, I believe it was, to give the judges a little more latitude to go outside the guideline in one direction or the other.
Right.
But they really have to just articulate some real specific and strong reasons why. Can't be no, I don't like this motherfucker. Can't be nothing frivolous.
It can't be nothing like that, Black.
No, the appeals court would probably consider that an abuse of discretion, you know. So.
Hey, Black, do you think Puffy's got an appeal case? A good one?
On what grounds?
On the Mann Act. For it not being for it not being a commercial enterprise, not being for profit.
Well, I mean, he has the money and he has the right to an appeal. Okay. Now, I guess his lawyers would be looking at the Mann Act.
Lovely lady, I see you.
Every word that describes that statute, and to make sure that it applies, you know. And I don't know every word that describes the statute.
Right.
So I couldn't say that he had an appeal or he didn't, but I'm sure because he has the money and he has the legal team that an appeal is going to be filed.
Right. Black. Now, there was an asset forfeiture clause which would have kicked in had he been found guilty of the RICO, the racketeering conspiracy, or the SEX trafficking. Now, he was acquitted of those. The asset forfeiture clause doesn't kick in for this Mann Act, does it?
Not to my knowledge. Um, and based on the fact that there's no ill-gotten gain. Okay. Now, if he had been involved in prostitution in a more traditional sense, he had women working in brothels.
Like that Long Island case with the cop I just told you.
Yeah, like that. He had women working in brothels or working a blade somewhere and bringing him back the money. Then, of course, those ill-gotten gains, once they're identified, they could be seized. But, ain't nothing to seize.
Right.
There was no ill-gotten gains. I mean, he was the one paying.
Right.
Him and the broad. So, if you wanted to see some ill-gotten gains, you would have to go to those male prostitutes who was getting paid.
Right. Now, Black, being the fact that Cassie wasn't charged as a co-conspirator, even though she was the one that was setting up the freak-offs, paying the male entertainers, inviting the male entertainers over, setting up their travel, the same thing with Jane Doe. Why were they not charged as co-conspirators, and why did they agree to testify against Puff?
Why weren't they charged? I believe they weren't charged because the government wanted them to testify. And when they agreed to testify, see, the government couldn't make a case without them. Okay? Absolutely couldn't make a case without them. It wasn't like, okay, they got caught doing something along with Puff. And now they're both charged and then they become snitches. That was not the case. Okay? I'm sure the broad went to them. Or if they came to her, with basically, how can we, what did he do to you?
Well, she sued. Remember, she sued the civil suit and got the $20 million settlement. And then in that civil suit, that was the undergirding and the foundation of the criminal complaint.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They come to her. What did he do to you? Give us the whole story so we can fashion a criminal case. So, of course, if they want her cooperation, they're not going to charge her. You see what I'm saying?
But they told her, bitch, you got to give us everything.
I don't think it was an adversarial relationship between her and the government.
Why not?
Why would there be? I mean, normally, like I say, it's a situation where you and your co-defendant, both of y'all, are in jeopardy. Y'all done got a case, both of y'all in jeopardy. So there's that adversarial relationship that the prosecution has with both of you guys. And you know the old saying, well, the first one to get on the bus, so to speak, is gonna be their guy.
Right.
And most of the time they don't care who it is. But in this situation, they weren't interested in charging Cassie with the Mann Act, promoting the prostitution or anything else, you know. They was just like, man, he did what? You know? What did this nigga do? You know? And from what I understand, all female prosecution team.
Right.
I'm sure that had something to do with it. Because
sidebar,
sure
coconut head. Sidebar.
Man would have felt a little different about the case.
A male prosecutor.
Yeah, I think they would have been like, well, okay. Oh, this guy, you know, he's a perverted guy, but okay, you know, nothing criminal here.
Yo, she actually helped him on the stand, man. She ended up, after her testimony, she testified for 3 days, man. She came off as more of a defense witness than a prosecution witness, man.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. What I will say is, by the time she got off of that stand, people had a whole new understanding of the case.
Right.
Because it was like, okay, this is your star witness. So we were expecting her to drop some real bombshells about some real wrongdoings, you know. You know, we expected her to get up there and say, hey, this guy forced me to do these things. He profited from doing these things by forcing other people, blackmailing people, having people sign contracts that they wouldn't ordinarily sign, threatening people, you know, and that's how he was able to profit from this situation. But
she didn't say
never happened.
It never happened. She never said none of that.
None of that shit.
She said she loved him on the stand.
Yeah, that and the fact that, you know, you see the communication between them that hey, I'm looking forward to a freaky good time tomorrow night. And when you see her saying all that type of stuff, it's like, oh man. She was complicit in this stuff, you know.
Exactly.
And sometimes it seemed like she was initiating a lot of this bullshit.
Ain't no question. Ain't no question.
Oh, it's hard to like, you know, okay, this is your star witness.
Yeah. And then the other girl, she was going before the hotel night. She would go buy a whole lingerie outfit, what he liked, high heel shoes, and then buy shorts for Puff and the other dude to wear.
So they have their little costume parties and shit. Man, it's, like I say, man, you know, it's not my thing. Some of the shit you find disgusting, but it wasn't a RICO case.
Right.
You know? Some of the shit you find like, what?
Listen.
Hold on. This beautiful girl on some level wanted random dudes to piss in her mouth.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then this dude, who outwardly, you know, had the world by the tail, he wants to get with a broad that wants to participate in that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's like, oh man, it's okay.
Listen, after she got off the stand, Black, I said, man, that changed my whole perspective. I said, man, somebody done told a lie, man. And then with each successive witness that got on the stand, and under the cross examination, they were just getting destroyed. Then I knew what they was trying to convict Puff of. I knew he didn't do it, man. And I said, man, they just trying to.
Yeah, it's like with each witness, their case got more underwhelming
Right.
with each witness. You know, because it's like nobody added any RICO flavor to the case. You know, you're trying to, and they've done this before. The feds have done this type of thing before, but you're trying to make people participants in this criminal activity who are just doing mundane office assistant type duties, you know. This person is in on the RICO case because maybe they used to buy the tickets.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Maybe they used to provide ground transportation.
Right.
You know, and it's like, huh?
Right. Right.
There was a case, man. I think it was out of Indianapolis, right? A long time ago. A big heroin case, right? And they charged a bunch of people. They charged everybody involved in the case. And this one particular woman, her role in the case was the babysitter. Literally, she was the babysitter. The guy who was the lead defendant in this case, would travel. I don't know if it was out of the country or just out of town, you know, but he would travel to pick up loads of heroin, right?
Right.
He had kids. This particular lady would babysit his kids while he was gone on his mission, right? And they get a woman, if I'm not mistaken, it was a 10-year mandatory minimum case. They give this woman 10 years, you know? And that was the only thing that she was even accused of doing was babysitting.
That's crazy.
You know? And
did she get out? Did they reverse her case?
yes, they did on appeal. She got reversed on appeal. The appeals court was like, man, if that's all this woman did,
what are y'all doing, man?
what the fuck is going on? Y'all ain't even proved that she had direct knowledge of what was going on.
Right.
You know? Y'all didn't prove that this woman is the babysitter. And last we checked, you know, that's not an unlawful offense. So, like I said, the feds have tried to pull that bullshit before in terms of
Ben Style, what up? Ben Style, I see you.
In cases where, you know, their participation was, you know, questionable at best. You know, when you trying to say, okay, you got a RICO case, so you got to have I forget the exact number of people, but there had to be a certain number of people involved, you know, 4 or 5 or whatever the number is. So you got to start describing people as participants. And if their participation is not unlawful conduct, come on, man. You know, they're not a participant in anything illegal.
Right.
If I'll let you borrow my car and then you go rob a bank in my car, you know, hold on now. If if there's no indication that I knew that's what you were going to do, then I've committed no crime. But like I say, they have those tools, and they have a tendency to start using those tools for things that they weren't meant for.
Hey, Black, you got time for one more question, man?
Sure.
Your opinion, your hypothesis, your guesswork, your conjecture that this whole event that's happened to Puff, that he's gone through, and then the 13 months or 12 and a half months he's going to sit in MDC Brooklyn, could this have a positive impact on him going forward in the way he looks at himself, his life, what's happened, changes that he should have made, that he will make going forward? Could this end up being a benefit for him?
It absolutely can end up being a benefit to him. If he uses it that way. It could be his downfall, man. If you stop right here and all you can absorb from this experience is the bitterness, anger, the desire for revenge and retribution, then it could be your downfall, But if you were to use the experience in a positive way, learn the lessons from the experience, do the work mentally on yourself, find out what your shortcomings were and correct them, then it can be positive,
Do what work mentally on yourself?
Well, it's a reason why he had those desires that he had, It seems like from a lot of the stories you hear that he was very impressed with himself, He seemed to think that like a lot of us who have any success in any field, he seems to think that he the smartest motherfucker in the room all the time. That people should be subservient to him. And he's come off that way in a lot of public situations, in a lot of interviews and bullshit TV shows and all that, He's come off in a bad light, and sometimes it's hard for the public, the general public, to discern what's fact from what's, oh, that's just part of the show, that's just entertainment, But then when you see behind the curtain, so to speak, you see what's actually happening in somebody's life, and you say, man, maybe that wasn't the part of the entertainment. Maybe that was that dude, that's giving off that vibe, like he's really the shit, like he is really so much more important than all the people around him, But that's the vibe that he tended to give off. That none of this shit happens except for the fact that I made it happen. And nobody's a self-made person. We're all gonna find help along the way to whatever accomplishments we make. It's always somebody somewhere that gave you a helping hand. So you're not totally self-made. No one is. But if he, does that work on himself and sees the damn, some of my thoughts was fucked up. Some of my thinking was fucked up, which caused some of my behavior to be fucked up. So I need to address all that. And he goes about addressing it, America loves a good comeback story.
Do you think he can make a comeback, Black?
No doubt. No doubt. America loves nothing better than a great comeback story.
Why do you have no doubt?
That he can make a good comeback?
Yeah.
He's been there before. Okay? He's been there before. So he knows what it takes. And if he does the work on himself, knowing what it takes, you can get back there the right way. You can start treating everyone in your life with respect and consideration and fairness and what have you. And it's gonna go a long way. He done had time to sit back and examine all the mistakes he's made, all the times he's gotten it wrong, and all the times that he's gotten it right. And you eliminate that wrongness, and you're right there.
But what about this cancel culture and him? Not to me, I fucks with Puff. You understand? And but this cancel culture and him being a pariah in terms of the people who used to deal with him and now saying they won't deal with him.
Trust me, 90% of the people that he used to deal with will come back to him and deal with him when they see that it's in their best interest to deal with him, that they can make some progress by dealing with him. They will. I mean, and then in terms of the general public, they definitely will. I mean, look at how many people right now would love to see R. Kelly out making hits again.
And as soon as he drop a song, they're gonna download it or go get the album.
Exactly.
Immediately. If the dude drops something from the joint, it's gonna sell. So, and he actually did the shit that he was charged with doing, and he still has a following. Yeah.
And he actually did this shit and got 30 years for doing this shit,
Yeah.
But this man did not do what he was charged with doing.
Yeah, he was acquitted.
Yeah, he was acquitted of the most serious things that he was charged of doing. And then the one thing that he was convicted of, man, every guy out here, been tricked off one way or the other, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
I mean, so the men get that part, okay. Like I say, not many people like to get down like he got down. That's for sure.
Right.
But every guy, you trick, you convicted the man of tricking off. Okay, so
what nigga ain't done did that?
Every guy in America, just about, I won't say every, because as soon as you say every, you're dead wrong. But 90% of the guys in this country been tricked off in one shape, fashion, or form, man. And then damn near every broad, they let a guy trick off on them. So, so there is a total understanding of what he was actually convicted of.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be the butt of a lot of jokes for probably the rest of his life. But so what? You know.
Yeah.
That's no big deal.
Hey, Black, Cassie and the other honey, Jane Doe, they was with it, man. They knew what it was.
Didn't you hear him say they was with it? Didn't you hear him say, hey, I'm looking forward to the night. I can't wait for, you know, I can't wait for this other guy to be over and beat my back in. You know, and you're going to enjoy it too.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's like live and in-person pornography. You know? And then all the alleged homosexuality that was supposed to come out, what happened to that? You know?
Never came out.
What happened to all the guys that was drugged and alleged they woke up with a sore ass because I was drugged.
Right. I was incapacitated.
Yeah. This nigga beat me upside the head with his dick. When I got bruises on my head. What's going on, man? You know?
Oh, man. Hey.
So many people jumped on the lawsuit wagon on the guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, man, some of this shit got to be true.
Right. 80 to 100 lawsuits in like a week, man.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay. You know, obviously the feds knew that a lot of this stuff was not true.
Yeah, they knew.
Because they would have brought some of those people who were suing. You know? Because if this guy really did that to you, and you're trying to sue them, what better vehicle than the criminal courts for you to give your testimony? You know?
Hey, Black, the fact that he beat the criminal case helps him out in a lot of them civil cases, don't it?
Oh, yeah, it will. It definitely will. Because they got that whole record to draw off of, you know?
Right.
And as a pattern of behavior, you know? And it's like, okay, well, we never saw where his pattern of behavior was any forcible acts against people, you know? We never heard testimony about him drugging and raping people. So, you know, he just liked to watch other dudes beat his woman back in.
Yo, Black, what if Puff done wrote his autobiography, then wrote 2 albums, and wrote his biopic movie while he's been sitting in MDC Brooklyn? And he gets down, he goes into the studio with Kanye West when he get out.
You know, if he drops something real fly, it's gonna work out, man. Now, as far as him being a rapper and all that, you know, that really wasn't never popping for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, his rapping skills, you know, he ain't up there with Nas and Biggie and Pac and, you know.
Right. But what about his beats though?
Well, his beats,
his production.
His production, man. You know, the dude to me is just a real slick businessman. The creative side, you know, I I never found that super impressive. You know.
Yo, Black, come on, man. Come on, Black. Don't do that, man.
Dig this here, Sean. Dig this
Black,
here.
come on, man.
The
Hold on,
man,
man. Hold
the
on, man.
man, the man is
Jodeci,
king,
man.
man.
Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, 112, Little Kim, Biggie. Come on, man.
Hey, dude, the man is the sample king, man. You know, the man, goodness gracious, man. The man's hits are predicated on heavy sample usage. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
All right, but that's what they did in the 80s. The golden era hip hop was the sampling of James Brown, damn near every record.
Man, and you know, the first things he did with Mary J, she probably didn't get a dime. All the damn samples was on there.
But come on, Black. Come on, man. We're talking about the beats, man. The nigga is dope making beats, man.
Okay, well, we just don't. I mean, Sean, he done made some great songs, man. He done made some songs that.
What about hey, yo, Black? My West Coast shorty pushed the Chrome 740, man.
That's Biggie.
Right, but the beat though.
He didn't write that lyric. That's Biggie. You know, and man, you know how much of that is really him, and how much of that is a young dude at the time that was making some hot beats, and he was saying, "Here go 5, 10 grand, let me get that." I don't know.
Yeah, man, but you ain't giving my man his just due, man. The nigga money, Black. The nigga money, man.
I'm giving him his just due as a guy that's putting it all together. Okay, I got an artist. I can see a lane for this artist. I got to get this artist to the right material. Okay, I got to get this artist to the right people. Okay. And I got to put all this together, and it's going to be something special. And he did that. He did that constantly, man. You know, he did that for everybody. Mary J. to Mace, Biggie. I mean, he constantly did that, man. You know, the whole bad boy situation in the late 90s, man. He was popping. He put all that together.
So he come out and go into the studio and put something together.
It's gonna sell if it's good, and he's gonna be applauded. You know, and that's that.
Let me ask you this: Is he the king of hip hop, man? For going to the trial with the feds and beating them, and in his catalog, his legacy, Bad Boy 1993, didn't rat, didn't cooperate.
You know what? I wouldn't put him as the king of hip hop. You know, he's just a thorough guy. You know what I'm saying?
He's solid, Black.
He's solid, man.
He thorough.
You know, and you know, it ain't got nothing to do with his hip hop legacy. He just stood up as a man. Said, no, you know, this ain't what happened. I ain't going for it. There's not gonna be any cooperation. I'm gonna fight to the end and let the chips fall where they may. And you gotta respect that.
He's solid, Black.
Solid as it gets in terms of that. Yeah, most definitely, man. Most definitely stood 10 toes down on it, you know. And to be honest, when the shit first kicked off, I'm thinking my knowledge of the feds, they got something. They ain't doing all this for nothing.
That's what I said.
They got something. He might, maybe he should consider snatching a dime so he can have the balance of his life out there, out in the free world.
Me and you talked about it. Me and you had a phone conversation.
Yeah, and but that's because of my experience with them and seeing how they move. But this was one of the rare occasions where they didn't have shit, and they were just reaching. Now, you know, the only person that knew that really was him. You know,
Right.
once he seen the discovery, and the only person that knew what he did truly was him. He knew. No, I ain't did all this shit. I did some freak shit. You know, me and my lady used to get down in a certain way.
But I ain't do all this.
But I ain't do this. I didn't force nobody to do nothing. That ain't what I was doing. You know?
Let's go to trial.
I wasn't running no prostitution ring. You know, I wasn't running no criminal enterprise. You know? I steal beats. I sample beats. I sample hits. That's what I do, nigga.
Hey yo, black man, Puff the king of hip hop, man.
Okay, well that's one way of looking at it. You did. I mean, shot. When you talking about hip hop, you talking about some dudes and ladies that was super creative, man. That was just, oh my goodness, creative. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you go all the way back to Rakim. Man, he changed the game, right?
Right.
I mean, he was the first rapper that was rapping like the dudes that are rapping today. You know, he served as the bridge to real rapping, you know, other than just the party anthems and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He was putting metaphors together.
Man, he putting it all together, you know. And then you had a bunch of guys after him, man, that, you know, some before and during that were just super creative, man. You know, and you just saw it and you just felt it, man. Damn, how you come up with that? You know? Even on and on to the Jay-Z, the Kanye's, Kendrick Lamar. These guys are just super creative, man.
Is Puff a musical genius, black?
Hell no.
Oh man, come on, man. Yo, black, what is you saying, man?
Hey man, you know what? I can take an old Diana Ross hit. You dig? and get 3-4 cats that's, you know, that's creative, that can really rap and write. Hey man, y'all do something on top of this. It's gonna be a hit, Sean.
Well, black, why nobody else ain't do it then? Why is he able to sample shit and it be masterful and ain't no, if it's so easy, you're minimizing his.
No, I'm not, John. I'm saying this was his genius. This was his lane. This is what he does. This is what he was really, really good at, Sean.
That nobody else was good at.
I ain't gonna say nobody else was.
Who else was good at it like him?
Well, I can't think of anybody right off the top of my head.
I know you can't.
But I'm sure there's others that could do it as well, you know. But I'm not belittling what he did, Sean, because he blew up, man, and he made a hell of a business.
Okay, now look. So what would you consider? What would be your definition of a musical genius?
Oh man,
A Barry White?
Uh, Somewhat. I would lean to someone like Stevie Wonder, someone like Smokey Robinson. You know, that just churned out hit after hit.
Quincy
Uh,
Jones.
Quincy Jones had that magical production touch, you know, and knew how to put everything together.
Write
Put the
music, play instruments.
the right people, the right instruments.
He could write music too.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he was cold all around, you know. He was cold.
Michael Jackson, the musical genius.
He's an entertainment genius. You know, he was, you know, in my estimation, man, not a better entertainer in the world. And his musicianship was from what you heard was pretty damn good. You know, my main man is Prince. You know,
Prince is a musical genius.
absolutely.
Why you say that?
Every step in the musical process, he got it. You know, every instrument on a particular song, he might be playing each and every one of them, man.
And singing.
The vocals, you know, playing the instruments, writing the songs, writing the music,
Dancing.
dancing, then on top of it, coming out with his ass out, man. You know,
And a crazy stage show.
yeah. On top of all that, and then having the baddest chicks around, you know.
Hey, Black, give me your top 5 MCs from the beginning and when you was introduced to hip hop. When was you introduced to hip hop?
Man, Rappers Delight,
79?
79, yep. And a bit of trivia, in East St. Louis, a radio station in East St. Louis was the first station to play a rap song. Even before they played it in New York. The story is they couldn't get them to play it nowhere.
Couldn't get him to play. Couldn't Sugar Hill Gang couldn't, or Sugar Hill Records, Sylvie Robinson couldn't get no record station to play Rappers Delight.
Could not get a radio station to play Rappers Delight. Came through East St. Louis, little black AM station, WESL. Would y'all play this? I can't get nobody to play it. Yeah, we do what we want here, you know. And they played it, man. And I heard it, and it caused it created such a stir and such a buzz that people were just calling the radio station, hey, could you play that again? Could you play that again? And when the song garnered that kind of reaction on radio, she was able to take that experience to other stations. Hey, you know, if you play this at your station, this is the reaction you're gonna get. You're gonna get 100 calls up here asking to play that. What was that? Play it again. And it repeated itself all over the country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Black, where you from, Black?
East St. Louis.
How old are you?
I'm 60.
Give me your top 5 MCs, Black, from 79 all the way up to today. Who the top 5? Your top 5.
I gotta say my favorites, Rakim, KRS-One. I do like Ice Cube a lot. Kendrick Lamar is also one of my favorites. New school guy. And Nas. You know, I don't think.
What about Tupac, man?
Well, Tupac, man, one thing about him, he had a deep depth of work. He had a lot of work, and that work was good, man. You know, Biggie, he didn't have as much work as Pop, but you know what he did was good. But you know, I kind of got the sense that Biggie had kind of said what he had to say, man. You know, because that second album to me, it was good, but it wasn't.
The double album.
It wasn't, you know, that life after death. It wasn't fucking with that Ready to Die. That's for sure. And it's like, you know, some artists, I just think, okay, he said what he had to say. He gave us what he could give us, and it was good.
What about Chuck D?
Chuck D, Public Enemy, same thing with them. They said what they had to say. They gave us what they gave us, and it was good. But they had a more narrow perspective. That's another thing about Pop. You know, he had a real broad perspective in his music. Because he would be rapping about some party stuff, you know, on something like maybe I Get Around, you know, and he had party type songs. He had inspirational type songs, Dear Mama. You know, then he had, you know, protest type songs with consciousness in them. Then he has just straight gangster shit, you know.
What about Wu-Tang?
Wu-Tang, you know what, man? Who was that? Somebody just said, we were riding in the car and somebody said, you ain't hip-hop or something like that if you don't know at least 6 members of Wu-Tang, right? If you can't name 6 members of Wu-Tang, you know.
I never felt Wu-Tang, man. I never felt them, man.
And we couldn't do it, man. You know, we couldn't do it. But they put out some hard stuff though, man. Method Man, excellent. You know.
Yeah. Hey, Black, somebody on here saying they grew up in the Edgemont area of the boogie.
Yeah, I'm sitting in Edgemont right now.
You in Edgemont right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Black.
All right, brother.
So I'm gonna call you back, man. Once I maybe when this PSI come out tomorrow, I'm gonna call you back and see what the government, what the prosecution is asking for. We can talk about that.
All right, you take it easy, bro.
All right, peace. Anthony Logistics, what up, man? What do you want from me, man? I'm just a YouTuber, man. That's all I am. I don't know what I'm doing. Shout out to Black, man. Everybody give a shout out to Black, man. Yo, that's my man Black, man. Me and Black, when we was in prison together, man, we used to have some spirited debates. We rarely agreed on anything, man. And he's very intelligent, man. Very intelligent, very enlightened, very wise. And I learned so much from him, man. But me and him, we would get into these spirited debates, man, and spend hours arguing our side, just dialoguing back and forth. And that's when I learned that dialogue and arguments are good things, right? Dialogue, confrontational dialogue, not in a violent way. We never, none of that. That's my brother, you know what I'm saying? I love Black, and I think he loves me back, you know what I'm saying? No fruit pop stuff. You know, we never, our arguments and our confrontations, we would be diametrically opposed. He would be over here and I would be over here, and we would just argue for hours and days about a topic and never agree. We each leave, never agreeing to what the other one said, but it was just so educational, man. It was just so educational, man. You know, and it taught me how to, you know, openly debate and dialogue and have a different opinion, stand on your square. Constructive debate, Brooklyn, babe. Lovely lady, thank you for your super chat. And it was so mentally enlightening, man. You know, it would make me so sharp. And in our disagreements, in our dialogue, I would hear certain things. Damn, I didn't see that. I didn't look at it from that way. Okay, yeah. But still, you know what I'm saying? It was cool. But that's my man, man. That's my man. And he knows about this stuff, man. All right, y'all. So the PSI drops tomorrow. We'll get with it tomorrow and see what happens, man. Shout out to all of y'all. And Sonder Adelia, what up? Deliberative dialogue, constructive debate, constructive. It's awesome, man. You know, some people, if you disagree with them or you offer a differing opinion, their feelings will get hurt, right? Because the need for acceptance from them is so deep. But to real scholars, to real educated people, you know, we're open to that because we're open to information, right? We're open to being educated. We're open to being moved. We're open to being enlightened. You know what I'm saying? Janet Leonard, what up? You know, so it was good. But anyway, we'll catch up with y'all tomorrow. Peace.